Welcome back, everybody, to the ASUN Show post week 5. We have a special guest this week, a de facto founding father of the FFCS, Danny. You might recognize him from previous late night esque podcasts for the FFCS. Well, welcome, Danny.
Thank you. Good to be here.
Yeah. So we'll just get right into the week 5 games. You have a pretty hefty slate. So, Slow, if you want to get into the game of the week.
Yeah. Game of the week was Stetson and Northern Colorado. Stetson winning 55-28. It was a dominant victory for Stetson over, I believe Northern Colorado was undefeated. Yeah. So looks like it was in the third quarter where Stetson scored 27 points that really sealed it after it being tied at halftime. But that, and then tack on another 14 in the fourth quarter, and you got a dominating victory for Stetson. Great win to get him back on track after losing last week. And they'll probably be in the top 8 or 9 again, maybe a little bit higher. So, great win for them.
Yeah, Stetson's really come on strong. Nice rebound after the loss in week 4, and they really have a case to being one of the best 4-1 teams there are. I know Yale's in that conversation, but Stetson has some really good wins and a very quality loss. So yeah, good to see a big win there.
It was good to, I remember Stetson early in the week just said she was kind of not really feeling on her game. Norco got up to a pretty early lead. I think it was 14-0 at one point. Special teams really turned it around here. I know there was a couple. I think there was a kickoff return and a defensive touchdown here, and it kind of got out of hand in the second half. I'm glad Stetson was able to turn it around in the second quarter at least and tie it up at halftime. I remember being pretty confident on the last show that Stetson was going to win and win big, and I think that got some people riled up, especially Norco. And I was kind of eating my words at the end of the first quarter, but I'm glad Stetson was able to figure it out and turn it around. Exciting to see where the coaches put her this week and moving forward in the division. Next, move to my game. I was taking on Cooper from Valpo. This was a rematch of a Spoon Bowl semifinal game from last year. That was a high-scoring game. 44-41 was the final, I think. Pretty epic comeback attempt from Cooper in the postseason tournament. This game was a little bit different. Kind of a bit of a defensive struggle in the first half. A lot of punts. I was able to kind of hold his rushing attack at bay. I know he's pretty rush happy. I really couldn't get too much going in the first half, to be honest. I got lucky on a couple, 1,501 calls that able to give me some long scores. But besides that, it was pretty much 3 and outs for both of us, and it was kind of slow moving game. Didn't really play to either of our advantage. The game actually didn't finish. 4 minutes left in the fourth quarter before the game was called on Saturday night. Still a good win. Cooper is 1-4 doesn't really show the quality of opponent that Cooper is. I still expect him to be very, very involved in the NBC. I guess he's in the Metro, the crazy NBC division. Still very much alive in that division right now. So not out of it yet.
Yeah, this is a nice win. Great defense there. It's not going to be a resume booster, but it's a fun game with an active coach who's a friend of ours. So, great job.
Yeah, good game. Great defense. He got the early score and then shut him out the rest of the way, and keeping your streak alive. Now to back up above 500. So that's great to see.
Thank you, Base God.
Next game is Alabama State and James Madison. Yes, Alabama State and James Madison. James Madison took this one 47-35. A little bit of a collapse from Alabama State at the end, letting up 20 points in the fourth quarter while they scored 0. So a little bit of a disappointing ending for Alabama State, but they got a chance to rebound this week and see if they can figure it out, because they start through 3 quarters they were up 8, and then the fourth quarter tanked them.
Yeah, this is another one of those just curious games from Turk. We've seen from earlier in the season, Turk has the capacity to beat really good teams, and not taking anything away from the James Madison victory, but a lot of us thought this was a game that Turk could win pretty easily, and just one of those games where JMU called the right numbers, had a really solid fourth quarter. Turk had the game pretty well in hand at halftime, into the third quarter as well, up by as much as 14, I believe. That fourth quarter comeback was a lot to handle, I think, to see what Turk moves forward with this and how he kind of handles the season moving forward.
Yeah, if I can get a little bit of realism here, football realism. We're getting into the tough stretch of the schedule here. We've already played 4 games already, and you look, Alabama State had a strong first 3 quarters, and maybe the conditioning just wasn't there in the fourth quarter, being outscored 20-0. I think that the coaches will have to go back to the drawing board and really try to make sure their guys are prepared to play a full 60 minutes or 28 minutes here in fake football. Yeah. Our next game will be the number 1 team in the country, Bethune-Cookman, taking on and hosting Eastern Illinois. Eastern Illinois has very good metrics on the season, so we knew this is going to be a tough game, a rematch from last season. And this is different from Bethune-Cookman's previous games. Bethune-Cookman Pello has really run through their schedule with ease, and Eastern Illinois came ready to play. They fumbled 3 times, but they were able to overcome it and had a lead in the fourth quarter, 21-17. And so it was quite a tough game, but Pello battled back and was able to avoid the upset, winning by 3 points. So it was a good game. They turned the ball over a little bit, but decent offensive showing and just a quality game there.
Yeah, this is a game that was a rematch from last season. Different coach, same program. And for those of you who recall, Pello had a really tough time with Eastern Illinois last season. Another upset bid late in the season to break its undefeated streak last year. Kind of interesting storylines. Eastern Illinois, I've heard rumblings from the NBC, read a couple articles have been posted. Still very much a favorite, or one of the favorites to win the division in the NBC. Excellent effort, I will say, and it just shows that Pello is mortal, right? People are going to start taking their shots at Bethune-Cookman in that program. Huge target on his back, ever since last year, right? So I think this just goes to show that moving forward, you're going to get everybody's best shot every week.
Yeah, it was.
Well, I'll speak on that too a little bit. Being the number 1 is a very interesting position. And you're saying that everybody gives you your best shot, and that is very true. Which is another thing that I love to look at, like with Pello's streak so far and being kind of the overwhelming number 1 pick. It does get stressful. But the other thing is, it doesn't matter who it is. It doesn't matter if it's Eastern Illinois, 3-1 Eastern Illinois. It doesn't matter if it's season 2 North Dakota, like winless, whatever. Those teams are just going to give you anything and everything that they have to try and climb their way into win. They'll switch up their strategies. They'll do anything they can. So when you're the number 1, people will say, they played somebody who's lesser. Like, there's nobody who's better than them. So it really flips your perspective to think about every single win that the number 1 team gets is a quality win. Every single win has to be looked at differently because it's just a different game.
Yeah. I've never been that number one spot, but I can imagine.
I mean, even a highly ranked team. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But back to the specific game. Good win for Bethune-Cookman. Shows he's kind of mortal. He can be in close games at the end, be down going into the fourth and all that. But very good coach, great coach, and he was able to get that late touchdown to seal a victory, and he keeps his number one spot. So good win by him, and we'll see if he can keep it rolling back when we head back in the conference play.
Yeah, and touching on your point, Danny, this is not a new position for Pell to be in. Starting 8-0 last year, starting undefeated this year, he's very familiar with that number one spot and getting everybody's best shot, right? Having to switch up his strategy based on what the opponent's switching up at halftime, whatever it may be. I think it's an excellent point that you bring up, and I think that just continues to goes to show how good of a coach Pello really is, right? Because he's able to kind of roll with the punches, come back from behind, do whatever he needs to do to, keep his legacy going.
Mhm.
Next, we're going to Campbell Yale. Two historically successful programs duking it out. This was a really fun game to watch. Very exciting. Yale had 5 turnovers. Really hard to come back and maintain composure after turning the ball over 5 times. Almost 800 yards of offense in this game. 2 highly explosive spread offenses here. This is a tough game if you're Campbell. A game that you're going to want back, right? Yale's arguably the best 4-1 team. I know I've started some conversation in certain channels about the Stetson Yale, debate. But I know Campbell got a pretty good start, up 17-14 and a half. But Yale kind of turned on in the second half, dropped 24 points to Campbell's 14. Overcame some of those turnovers. It looks like Campbell couldn't really turn all those turnovers into points. Like I said, Campbell probably wants that game back, but no shame in the loss here. This is just adds to the grueling strength of schedule that Campbell has to go through in his division and out of conference this year. So, tough loss, Campbell, but take it on the chin. This will be one that the players are going to look forward to in out of conference games moving forward and in conference games moving forward, as something to learn from and take from for keeping in your back pocket for the next time you're in a close game like this.
Yeah, that's a tough situation to be in when you're wanting to schedule tough. If you win, it's a big deal, but if it's so easy to come away with a loss with a tough opponent like that, and Yale has really proved himself this season. I just want to talk about how their resume stands apart, and I know this is the ASUN show, but Yale's looking really good this year. They haven't won a game by more than 10 points, but all 5 of their opponents have been top 30 in composite, and it's just been a murderer's row. And coming away with 4 wins out of that 5 is pretty incredible. So they've easily got the best strength of schedule. And Campbell almost knocked him off, but he fell short. And we'll see if he can get back on the train next week.
Yeah, another little bit of a collapse this one, being outscored 24-14 in the second half. But still a great game. Maybe a couple more numbers goes his way in the second half, and he could have a win. So, great game. Campbell's against a great opponent. And hopefully next time he can close out a game like.
All right, we'll move on, and our next game was a classic. It went in overtime. So this game got started early, and so with the coaches that participated in it, it attracted quite a following. It was sort of a de facto game day. It had that attention around it, and we had Chatty against the Pimp Daddy. This was a great game. It was a great game to witness. Everybody thought that Chatty was a heavy favorite, but you never know how it is when the spotlight's on you, like we said earlier. And Chattanooga had just gotten back a ranking in the coaches poll, and has found success this season. This game started off fast, was 21-21 at halftime, and then slowed down with the offense in the second half. They went to overtime at 24-24, and it was quite improbable. You know, Chattanooga was able to force a pick six to end the game in overtime and win 30-24. And it was really nice to bounce back against not a great opponent, but they lost the game to Bethune-Cookman, and they've been able to survive a couple scares against North Alabama and Houston Baptist, and have gotten themselves to a very impressive 4-1 start.
Yeah, I will say, a lot of different teams have different motivating factors as to, why they'll play well, why they won't play well on this particular week. Danny, you probably know better than anybody that I think Chatty's made one. Well, he had two main motivating factors. One being the age of the opposing coach, but two, I think more importantly, is getting that emote back to use in chat now that he's a ranked team. He loves dropping that Chatty C everywhere he goes, and I think that this was a huge I guess, victory in his eyes as far as keeping that for at least for another week.
Yeah, I mean, we play to have fun, and it's fun to him. So there you go.
Props to Chatty, who's really turned, tail of two seasons last year. I think he was 3-9 last year. Already 4-1 this year. Amazing turnaround. Definitely looking for a contract extension on his with the University of Tennessee Chattanooga. Looking forward.
Wow, that's a low blow right there. Uninformed guests, he's not a Tennessee fan in real life. Just gonna throw that. Not exactly. What's next?
I believe one more on this slide, which is ETSU Norfolk State. I'm not sure if this game finished. It doesn't look like it.
Yeah, I can cover this one real quick.
Okay.
Yeah, this game didn't get very far into the second quarter. Yeah, East Tennessee State. Nutt is a very good coach in our conference, but he's typically saddled with the real life responsibilities. So he typically finishes his game, but I think this is just a bad case of two conflicting schedules here. I remember Nutt talking about that in our channel, I believe yesterday or earlier today. Norfolk State, not a great opponent. They're 124 in composite, I saw. And so it was really good to get the win here, courtesy of a delay game. I don't think there's very much to say about this game, but I guess just be lucky that it came out in favor of ETSU.
Yeah, a win's a win, right? And you'll take it any way that you can. I know it wasn't necessarily, from a MAC opponent 0-5. It's you'll take it, move on to the next opponent, and I know Nutt's excited, happy to have escaped this one with a dub.
Yeah, looks like it could have been a good one. One scoring a touchdown in the first quarter, but really comes first, and a little disappointing and ended in a delay game, but still, it counts as a win, and ETSU is nuts glad. Next game is my game against Butler, in which I lost 58-49. So this one was a barn burner, but mainly in the first half, at least for me. I scored 42 of my 49 points in the first half. 3 touchdowns in both quarters. It was 42-35 going into halftime. So, yeah, there was zero defense played. Well, kind of. There were turnovers, but other than that, it was either a turnover or a touchdown, basically. Looking at the stats again, apparently I lived off turnovers a lot more than I realized in that first half. I won the turnover battle for the first time this season by 2.
Wow.
4-2. But I'm going to guess all 4 of those came in the first half, and that's part of the reason I have so few yards while scoring that many points. In the first half, I lived off of short fields, and then I couldn't get those short fields in the second half and just stalled out. My defense slightly showed up more in the second half. And by that, I mean he went from 21 and 14 points to 10 and 13 points. But it wasn't enough to hold on to that 7-point lead I had at half. And yeah, tough. Thought I had a chance for a while there, but not enough offense or defense in the second half to pull it out.
Yeah, it's quite amazing how the season has turned. I want to be nice to you, Slowlo, and I'm sorry, but the defense has really took a turn. 48 and 58, you've given up in consecutive weeks. Heading into I just took a peek at your upcoming schedule. You've got Stetson and Kennesaw State. Yeah, I would suggest you hit the practice field. You had a good start to the season and you have a good record. Butler dominated the yardage. Let's see if you can turn that around.
And for those MVC fans, Butler's had a really high scoring year. They've had pretty potent offense so far. I think something to look forward to for at least for Slow in the next couple weeks. You got a similar offense with KSU in 2 weeks, but a very starkly different offense, contrary to what the scoreboard said this past week with Stetson. They're a grueling option offense. So I think it might be a little bit different. I think just turnovers here were huge at the end, and moving the ball down the field when the field is a little bit longer is tough. But 2 different playing styles moving forward, so hopefully we can turn it around and a win and going even 1-1 in the next 2 weeks would be huge for the resume. So something to look forward to.
Yeah.
Next, we got Jacksonville, Gardner-Webb. Jacksonville looking to improve after a win last week. Unfortunately, a lot more of the same from the first 3 weeks of the season. Heartbreaker for Purple. The man just continues to get however it may finish. This week it was a pretty impressive third quarter, down by 14 at half, able to score 20 in the third, and the game was it was his game to lose in the fourth quarter. Had the ball driving, starting kind of pinned in his own territory, behind his own 20. Unfortunately, threw a pick on his last drive, and Gardner-Webb was able to take a knee and kneel it out. This would have been a pretty big statement win, even though Gardner-Webb isn't super successful this year. That was the old EIU coach from last year, division winner in the MVC. Excruciating loss for Purple. It seems like he just takes those week after week, one way or the other, and it seems like he's right always on the cusp of a victory or a loss, either way. Close games all around, and it just seems like he loses in the most the worst ways possible. I feel for him, but if it does say anything, it means that you're going to be very much in your games, moving forward. So keep up the effort, and then one of these days the ball will bounce your way. Definitely.
Yeah, credit should be given for that third quarter comeback, but you can't get yourself in too big of a hole early. Speaking of Gardner-Webb, this goes against the ASUN bias that we try to put out there, but Gardner-Webb is 0-2 against CFC competition and 2-0 against ASUN competition, winning against North Alabama in week 1. Just wanted to drop that factoid.
ASUN bad. ASUN bad.
ASUN would be bad.
Dare I say, anus.
This guy.
I had to do it. To him.
Yeah, tough loss to Jacksonville. Attempted comeback, but not quite enough. Uh, got another chance next week, and we'll see what we'll see if he can do it. It'll probably be a tough one in this conference. Uh, I don't remember off the top of my head who's going against, but next game is Jacksonville State and Cal Poly. So that one is a win for Cal Poly, 31-21. Matt, after getting a win his first week back, I guess a loss this time. Cal Poly, great fourth quarter, 15 points to get the victory. Fruity's a really good coach. I think I've seen them say otherwise, but they're 4-1 right now. They're doing pretty good. So tough loss for Jacksonville State. Chance to bounce back next week, but tough season so far for them. Not gone quite how they want. So we'll see if they can turn it around, but it's gonna be a tough one.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Yeah. None of you guys will get this, but I'm going to quote former Alabama basketball coach Avery Johnson and just say it was a tale of two halves. Jacksonville State had the lead at halftime, and Cal Poly just shut the door and dominated at the end. And that's tough to do against a running team like Jacksonville State, to just end the game on a run like that. I've been really impressed with how Fruity's been able to step in. I'll be honest, I had my doubts, after taking the team that's been to the playoffs 2 years in a row. It's big shoes to fill. I was sure that Matt was going to have a rebound game here, but it didn't happen. And credit to the Mustangs. And it was a good game though.
This was the first time that I think I've seen a ranked team. I don't necessarily know what the line was at the time, but last week's show, I'm pretty sure it was a clean sweep. We all, or at least 3 of the 4 people, picked Matt to win this game. And I think at the time, Fruity was 3-1, and Matt was 2-2. I think he had playing with a little chip on his shoulder. Fruity was forced a safety in the third quarter, I believe, and then just shut down in the fourth quarter. That proved to be the difference. That was huge for Fruity. That's a big win. Matt's 2-3, not going to be great on the resume, but that is a confidence boosting win for sure. And I don't know how familiar Fruity was with the past 2 seasons post, but he knew the reputation that Matt had coming in, and I think he able to make some changes in the second half that really proved to be the difference. Congrats to Fruity, not to take anything away from the win. That was a great win.
Any takeaways from the Big Sky Commission?
Big Sky. I guess considering I brought Fruity, kind of brought Fruity to Cal Poly, and considering that I lost to Jacksonville State in my most recent matchup, I'd like to say that I lead people to a treasure I cannot possess. But I think it'll be good on the resume because I see Jacksonville State as a riser. So this is one of those wins that Cal Poly was fortunate to get this early in the season. Not saying that, not trying to discount any win, but I think Fruity will be very happy as he watches the score lines throughout the rest of the season. Just saying. I'm saying y'all suck compared to Jacksonville State. That's what I'm saying.
Thank you.
Oof, I play next week.
All right. So we'll move on to my game, I guess. Kennesaw State at Austin Peay. This game started out fast, led 21-14 after a quarter, and then it quickly got out of hand, winning by a score of 72-28. This has been the weirdest game I've ever played. the second half was almost comedy, and I mean that with all respect to AP. I got a 0 diff kickoff for the first time in my career. Wasn't sure that was ever gonna happen. I know that happens semi frequently because it's just meme numbers and stuff. I got it on a 69, but I was pretty shocked at that.
Nice.
I was really trying to chew the clock, but I got 4 turnovers. I forced 4 turnovers and just sort of, I don't know. If you look at the box score, it kind of looks like I ran it, but I really didn't mean to. But I was very happy to see that result. I mean, I know margin of victory plays in the sum metric, but it was a fun game to play. I love playing AP, and hope we can play again in the future. But yeah, big win.
Yeah, you really turned it on there. It was another relatively balanced game, I would say, from your offense. You've had a very balanced attack this year. Quarterback played extremely well this game. A little more on that later, but yeah, can't really say enough. Past couple games that you've played against relatively active coaches in the Discord. I know you played a scrimmage against Fruity that went a similar way. It just seems like it's as common for option teams, but spread team, I don't know if it's as common. But once you get rolling, man, it's really hard to stop your offense. So big props. And I know AP hasn't had the season that he wanted this year so far, but that's still a good win and a good notch in the old belt. So congrats.
Yeah, that was a good, really good win. It's harder in real life than in real life to not score sometimes. You think you're just trying to run out the clock, and
I get
in
that.
real life, you could just kind of not try, I guess. But here, especially with how fast games can turn,
Defense also
got-
can't
you
really
got-
lie down either. Like in real
Yeah.
life, can't send in third
Eh,
stringers.
yeah. But with the way games can turn so fast here, you kind of have to try a little bit so you don't just give up like 750 diffs in a row or something like that, or 750/0 diffs in a row.
Mhm.
You also like if you're trying not to score, you can inadvertently end up scoring repeatedly, like what happened in Kennesaw State. So I think it's kind of funny. But
Yeah, I think it was just, a good luck, bad luck situation because I really did not mean to score 44 points in the second half.
And a safety at that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I forgot about that. Got a safety in there. I forgot about that.
yeah, it's a good win. Austin P, decent team. So great season so far. We'll see if you can keep it rolling next week.
Next, we have Mercer versus Montana. Interesting out of conference game to have with Danny on the pod right now. Very balanced attack by Mercer. 180 yards rushing and passing. This was a pretty interesting game to view. I think it might have been the general channel and then the ASUN channel. Rico isn't super active in the ASUN or in the general channel, but great win. This is was up as a pretty active coach. This is just a tale where Mercer kind of got ahead, and it's hard to come back when you're an option-based team, right? And I know Mercer had a pretty big fourth quarter. Let me see, forced a couple of caught a couple big stops, I should say, in the fourth quarter that ended up going his way. A couple turnover on downs, a couple punts, and then a late touchdown kind of sealed it. Great win for Mercer. He's now finally getting the respect I think he deserves. He should be top 12 ranked, if I'm not mistaken. An exciting win over Big Sky. Avenge Matt's loss to Cal Poly.
Yeah, this is a thrilling game that went back and forth. Mercer got the big swing plays at the end to go up by 10 and really cement a decent win. But yeah, you hit the nail on the head. He's getting respect and having a really strong season so far.
Yeah, it was good game. Mercer just got out to a little better start than Danny, and it was looks like it was still a good game at the end. And yeah, Mercer's finally getting some of the respect he deserves, being ranked for the first time this season. Um, and he should be. He'll probably be bumped up a good bit after this win. But it's a great win for Mercer. And he's keeping it going after great start to season.
Yeah, any thoughts on the game in Missoula?
Not particularly. I mean, it was a good game. I mean, Mercer's. I think this is his second Big Sky North win. I think he beat Portland State in the yearly Frost Office series that he and Portland State have. But I don't know. I have a lot of respect for Mercer, not just because he's a Seattle fan, but because he's always been a high character guy, and so I've always secretly kind of deep down rooted for him. It's a bummer that I came against my conference, and but I don't really have any comment past that. Just we're gonna hit the books week 8. It'll be cool.
All right,
Yeah.
next game.
Next game is where's the list? Texas Southern and Northern Alabama. So Texas Southern getting the win here, 34-31. It's a good game, especially in the first half. Slowed down a little bit in the second half, but Texas Southern got that lead early and was able to keep it through the rest of the game. So a little bit of a comeback from North Alabama. Disappointing start to the season for them, but still got some time to turn it around. And Texas Southern's a decent team, so not a terrible loss.
Yeah, it was another case of a comeback that didn't quite come to full fruition, and I was shocked when looking at the yardage. North Alabama almost won this game with 111 yards. It's really tough to be that competitive when you're being outgained that much and you can't really move on the ground. But valiant effort. But you wanna break through and win these games. So we'll give it another shot next week.
Yeah, this is a game last week that I picked UNA to win. I'm not too familiar with the Texas Southern program outside of last season's postseason, but seeing Wally talk in the ASUN channel throughout the week, 3 special teams touchdowns, huge effort by kickoff and punt return teams. I believe he also missed a point after attempt as well. That's tough. You gotta win in all 3 phases of the game to really be successful. Fortunately, only one phase really showed up this week, but still great game. Almost walked away with a dub here. Not really much else to say, but I'm just get him next week.
All right, now we'll move into the final game. Another ASUN Big Sky matchup. We sort of had a impromptu, unplanned challenge this week. I'm not going to count up the record. It probably ended poorly for the ASUN. I think it was even. San Diego hosted Samford, a team that's reeling. San Diego came out on top 52-28, and San Diego really had control of the game the whole time. San Diego, the Toreros got out to a big lead. Samford fought back a little bit, but then San Diego shut the door. It's really been quite remarkable to see the drop off, and I don't mean to rail on anybody, but yeah, Sanford gave up 27 points in their first 2 games. In the 3 games since, they've given up 47, 42, and 52. And something's just been missing on the defensive side of the ball there. And it's been quite the turnaround after the dominating first 2 weeks. And now they have a losing record, and the locker room just has to look at each other and say, hey, what are we going to do this year? What are we made of? Where are we going to go from here? So they've got Turk next week. That'll be a good Bama Belt game. This is a disappointing loss, and credit to the Toreros for keeping their foot on the gas and really running away with this.
Yeah, over 500 total yards from San Diego's offense, and then to go pair with 3 Sanford offensive turnovers. Been relatively anemic on offense recently. I know Sanford has some stuff going on, some good stuff going on outside the game in real life. So, maybe some focus is lost in the game for good reason. But statement game next week, Bama Belt and divisional bragging rights on the line. Hopefully, we can turn it around.
Yeah, tough loss for Sanford. After a promising start to the season, they're falling back a little bit. Still time to turn it around. Looked like he was starting to figure some stuff out in the second half. So hopefully he can take that momentum over to the next game. And yeah, it'll probably be a tough game for him, but always a chance to get back to 500.
Yeah, so that wraps up the games from week 5. I wanted to give Danny a little opportunity to talk about the OEC that he organized and is currently going on right now between week 5 and week 6. Go ahead.
Yeah, so just a few comments. Personally, just I'm so happy with the outpouring of love for the extravaganza that's going on. I wasn't anticipating that at all. In fact, that's kind of been the theme of this whole tournament. It's just unexpected on the positive side. Is like I didn't expect so many people to sign up. I didn't expect so many people to want to ref. I didn't expect so many people to enjoy it. But it's sort of been just this nice overarching activity that we've all been able to look at and have fun with over the course of the what would normally be a dead portion of the real life week. But I mean, I think it's going to be a lot of fun if we do it again, because I've had so many new ideas to just in general improve all the stuff that's going on over the course of it, and speaking with different people like Watchful or perhaps even Jocks and just, or Jokes, getting different technical ideas for how to do this in a way that is more accessible, either by getting a way to have like a bot ref, or more seen, like having a way to automatically have scores be updated or something like that. Either way, I think it's been great, and I definitely want to try this again before the season's through. Maybe not as large. I think 46 was maybe a little bit too high of a number. We're definitely not going to be able to get done with this this week, but we're going to go into the next week and hopefully be done then. And I think it'll speed up as we have some of our quicker and more accessible refs that are available to do the final dozen or so games. Either way, I've loved it so far, and I have been so encouraged by the community and everybody's love of this tournament. I thought it's great. I mean, most people probably don't get to do overtime. I don't think I've done overtime in the regular season. I did it during the FCS FBS Challenge versus Marshall, but that was the only other time that I think I've ever done overtime. So you can go your whole career without doing it. This is just a fun little time where people can experience that firsthand and maybe realize, hey, I hate this. This is a lot of anxiety. Either way, it's better than not, I think, personally. And it's a best of 3 series, which I think is great. Like, I mentioned I was a Mariners fan or a Seattle fan earlier. Mariners, they've never been to a playoff since I've been an adult, and so it's I've never experienced a series type situation in the playoffs. So my team losing in a tournament situation always equals we're done. So I thought a 3-game series would be fun for people to be able to lose something and still be in it, still play. Plus, an overtime game could be one play. So I was like, you know what, we'll hedge our bets and do 3. And the championship, which I'm excited about that. Well, whoever ends up doesn't matter. Just a best of 5, something that everybody can pay attention to, and we can just get multiple refs and the best and just have that quickly be a fun thing. Probably not going to happen this week, like I said, but next week. Overall, encompassing, this has been awesome, and I'm very happy. Maybe it wasn't the best week to pick. It's been busy, but I set myself up. I made my bed, and now I've laid in it.
Yeah, I know we all appreciated the idea, and what really sticks out to me is just there isn't really any chance for anybody to human ref, and being a ref, I've been in sort of a slow moving matchup, but it's been so much fun to sort of write play write ups and really be there. I'm with Butler and I'm with Valpo, and it's fun to talk with them and facilitate their game. So that's another side that's really come out of this, and so it's all positive.
Yeah, I love all the unique play calling human ref stuff that I get to do and that I've seen. Personally, my favorite was when Sacramento State scored his winning touchdown of I think game 2. I was like, what would be the best play call for this? Googled it up, looked up the Fail Mary play call, copied it down word for word, and said, "Yes, this will get him. This will be great." He's a Packers fan, so I don't know if it picked up, but it's great. Yeah, that's a good side too.
I'm not actually even involved in playing or reffing, but I'm a huge fan of March Madness and creating a bracket. I will say it's been a lot of fun until Slolo beat Brady and just totally destroyed my bracket. But besides that, it's been a lot of fun. It's been a lot of fun to.
Yeah, I've updated that challenge like as soon because I know people will complain about it, and I'm like, let's just get this. I love seeing I agree. I love seeing a bracket develop. So that's a cool side too.
I'm not sorry about beating Brady.
You're here first, folks.
That second game was kind of crazy though, and they're fun games.
Yeah.
Yes.
Want to move on?
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. So we can hop into the standings now for the Dawn and Dusk. I'll start with the Dusk division. Remarkably less high-profile teams. At the top, you got me. I'm 2-0, 3-2 overall. And then you got 3 1-1 teams: 4-1 Chatty, 2-3 Matt JSU, and then 1-4 Wally. And then 3 0-2 teams. You got 2-3 Alabama State, 3-2 Nut at ETSU, and 2-3 Samford. Interesting to see which 3 of those teams attempts to make a run in the division. The bottom.
Yep. And then in the Dawn, we've got a split here. We've got 2 teams at 2-0, and then 5 teams at 1-1 tied at third place. We've got Bethune-Cookman and KSU undefeated in conference and overall. And then you've got Mercer and Stetson at 4-1 and overall, and then Campbell and Florida A&M at 3-2. And Jacksonville at 1-4. All 5 of those teams are 1-1, and this is a non-conference week this past week, so there's been no change, but it's a good refresher to see, and we're going to see some mayhem as teams move up and down in these standings going forward.
Yeah, I really want to see everybody shakes out in that Dawn. I really just want to see the ultimate chaos.
Yeah, there's some games this week that could really mess it up. We'll get to future games in a couple minutes, but there's being able to sneak peek at them especially in the dawn, it's there's some ways it could go even crazier than it already is.
Next, we'll hop into the power rankings that were just recently released. I'll start with the top 7. Slow, if you want to take the next 7. At the top, you got Bethune-Cookman with 8 first place votes, followed by Kennesaw State with 1. Then you got a couple 4-1 teams: Stetson, Chatty, and Mercer at 3, 4, and 5 respectively. Chatty and Mercer pretty close. One vote separates them for 4 and 5. And then you got myself, Ampersand at 6, and Campbell at number 7.
Yep. And then we have me at number 8, Fort A&M, ETSU at 9, Jacksonville State at 10, Samford at 11, Alabama State at 12, Jacksonville at 13, and North Alabama at 14. I think it isn't too different from my own rankings. I had Jacksonville and North Alabama flipped because of the head-to-head, and I had Mercer and Chatty flipped. And I think I might have overranked Alabama State a little bit because I misremembered their record. But other than that, pretty much the same as mine. So pretty good list this week.
Yeah, not too many shocks this week. I was a little surprised to see Mercer drop to 5, but Chattanooga took their place at 4, and I think both of those teams are about equal. They're very close in votes, so I don't really see anything out of place here. Alabama A&M had a big jump up, and they're poised to keep climbing. So no real shocks here.
Yeah, this is exactly my exact poll, exactly the way that I created it. So not too surprising, but this week definitely will shake this up pretty massively. Next, we can move on to the ASUN Player of the Week. This is a Player of the Week that I think is long overdue. This is Andrew Van Buren, quarterback for Kennesaw State. 6 touchdowns, almost 400 yards passing, very effective, only 7 incompletions, and just surgical and dismantling Austin Peay. Andrew's quietly had one of the best that I can imagine. Not that everybody keeps stats, but best overall passing and rushing season for a quarterback this year. Very, very effective, almost 80% completion rating. Swiftly guiding his offense, his team to a 5-0 record. Not much you can say against this guy. A lot of good stuff coming out of Kennesaw State, and he's probably the reason.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting to see. First off, very happy to finally win this award and try to take down the Chatty monopoly. But it's really been fun to keep stats for players, and I'm glad that Pillow made it so easy. And it's really interesting to see how the ranges play out. You kind of get a better understanding for the game, seeing how these stats show up. I feel like fake football is sort of pass friendly when it comes to completion percentage, but not necessarily like yards per attempt, because I'm getting high 70%, 80% completion percentage almost every game. So it's not a gripe or anything. It's I believe the game's realistic enough, but it's really fun to see this. And yeah, he went off this week. It was good to see.
Yeah, great week for him. Great season overall. Finally, I guess for the purpose of this show, a breakout week. But he's been doing great all week, and the team as a whole has been doing really good. So a little bit overdue.
Yeah. Congrats to Mr. Van Buren. Next, we'll hop into the Sunny D. This was I thought there was 5 really solid candidates this week. Myself was included in that. I didn't necessarily know if I would be totally eligible because my game didn't finish. So this is not to take away anything from any other teams. But Ampersand walks away with Sunny D this week. I'm super grateful for the other coaches who voted. on the Sunny D and deemed my defense worthy of the award this week. The game with Valpo and Cooper was interesting, and I was able, at least in the first quarter, to pick up on some of his tendencies. But as the game progressed, he switched as my strategy switched. So it was definitely tough to stay on top of him. But boys went out there, got the job done. There's still some time left in the game, but very, very happy with the way they performed, and hopefully they can collect a couple more of these before the season is over. I'm excited to take a big old swig of the Boylan OJ. Thanks, guys.
We got it 212 degrees for you.
Trachea.
Yeah, I think your fears of not finishing the game are all right. You were up by 3 touchdowns halfway through the fourth quarter, and that's enough for us to see. It's really rare to see a team be held to less than 200 yards. Turnovers, bring eyeballs, but being able to shut down someone points and yards like that is really, really impressive.
Much appreciated. All right, so we can move right into Pick'em for week 6. We could start with Bethune-Cookman and Mercer, the game of the week. I guess the way that we'll go with the Pick'em is myself, Judge, Danny, and then Slow, the characteristic broom carrier for any sweeps we have on this show. Let's start with the game of the week. Bethune-Cookman and Mercer. This is a game that I feel like a lot of folks have had circled on their calendars for a long time. Mercer has been a perennial successful team in the Dawn. And then obviously Pello, just the behemoth that he is. They run pretty stark different styles of offense. When I played Rico, he was pretty pass happy. I know Pello likes to run the grounded pound and pass only when necessary. That being said, I think Pello has just been a power and a force all season. I think he wins. I think it's close. I think it's 7-point game. I think Pello wins here.
This is a really tough game to predict. I've gone back and forth, but I think Pello showed some cracks last week, and I'm rooting for some chaos. So give me the Mercer Bears here for the upset. Yep.
My turn?
Yep.
Oh man, yeah, I also think this. I think this is gonna be a really close one, like just score wise, and I can already see talent wise, it's close. I have to go with Bethune-Cookman. Like there's nothing that's given me hesitancy on picking against Bethune for any game in the future. Not any of the score lines being close. Not any of the anything like switchings of teams or bad strength of schedule. Just I think like that last game was probably the maybe a wake up call, if you could call it that, for Pello to be like, I gotta focus on everything. Like this is, yes, I'm undefeated, but like I have to really nail this down, and I think Mercer's gonna feel it.
It's gonna be a close one. I could see it going into overtime, kind of close. But I've been on the Mercer train all season, pretty much. Especially like week 2 when he was week 2 or 3 when I thought he was really underrated. So I'm gonna take Mercer in the upset. I think he's able to pull it off.
Pello will not be happy with us.
I've been against Pello a good amount this season, so I'm not making any friends, and I'm probably setting myself up for a beatdown when it's my turn to go against him. But I'm gonna pick Mercer.
The literal king will exact his will on the conference. Next game, we got myself versus Matt. I will abstain. I'll provide a little bit of a background. Last year, my game versus Matt came down to final possession, and then I was lucky enough to force a turnover in the final seconds of the game. Unfortunately, was not able to capitalize on it. I've admitted to some close friends in this game that I have a little bit of a little brother syndrome when it comes to Matt and JSU. He's always kind of been the Bama power in this division, in this conference. So I'm really looking to finally get that statement win over Big Brother Matt.
Yeah, good flashback there, bringing up last year's game. I remember it pretty well, and it seemed like Matt was always a step ahead of you, and you captured it perfectly. He was running that division until you were able to take him after he got upset. I think it's your time, ampersand, to fully dethrone him and put him in a big hole. I have good feelings about the prospects of the Gamecock season, but I'm gonna go with A. I'm gonna go with AMU.
All right. This one I think is also another very close one. Like, I'm looking at the rest of these games and I've kind of got an idea of who I'm going to pick off the top of my head. But this one is very tough because, like, yeah, you look at the records are a little bit skewed, but knowing that, well, Alabama A&M has had by far the toughest strength of schedule I think I've seen any winning team have this late in the season, or it's only week 5 or week 6, but still late enough. I was just singing the praises of Matthew's Gamecocks. And I think I'm going to have to stick to it. I think I'm going to pick the Gamecocks in this one simply because I don't see this one being super close like the last one was. I think someone will run away with it. And in that kind of game, I give Matthew the benefit of the doubt because he knows how to run away with it. He knows how to get on a run. I've played him twice, and I think both times the scores actually were pretty close. I'll admit that, but there were always just quarters or a half or something where it was just every single thing was, maybe it didn't go 100% in his way, but it was going mostly in his way for a long period of time. And I don't know. That's just really rough to recover from. Of course, I think this one will be closer, maybe not in score, but it'll be closer picking wise than the previous one, Bethune-Cookman Mercer. But I'll give the edge to Matt.
Harsh but fair.
Yeah, it's gonna be a tough game. And on a roll, winning the last 3. Jacksonville State stumbled a little bit after getting the big win his first week. So it'll be a tough game. I'm gonna pick Jacksonville State just because of conference record. I think they're 1-1 right now, so they're a little bit behind the 8 ball if they lose here. You being 3-0 and being 1-2 in conference, that will knock him back a lot. I think he's going to bring everything he has, bring out everything he has here, get the win because really needs it. But if you pull it out here, you'll have a fairly good lead on the Dusk. It's not wrapped up by any means, but you'll have a great head start over everybody else. So I'm picking Matt because I don't think he's going to drop out of the race that quickly. But if he doesn't win here, it might be a little bit of a lost season for him.
So next, we have Samford versus Turk, Alabama State. 2 teams that are coming off of tough losses this past week. Both teams 2-3. Both teams looking for answers on offense and defensive side of the ball. I think Samford has a bounce back game here. Kind of been on a bit of a 3-game skid so far after a really, really hot start. I'm just not confident in which Turk team will show up. I know that Samford has the power to hang 100 points on teams. I know that, say what you want about memes and whatnot, but Samford has a switch that he can act if he wants to, and when he's able to. I think we see Samford Bolt in this game.
Yeah, these two teams have had very similar seasons in some ways, and I like what Turk does at Alabama State, and he can make any game close. The record might not show success, but he's always giving people heart attacks. But when I think about it, I don't think that Sanford is going to give up 47 games a week forever. I mean, 47 points a game per week, every week forever. And I think his real life happiness has to translate into fake happiness at some point. So I'm going to go with the Bulldogs.
Man, this one, I just don't know enough about Turk. I don't think. I mean, I'm picking Samford, but I think that's just because I know I've seen what Samford can do, and I also agree with Judge. I don't think that he's going to be giving up a zillion points each week, and I think this one will be like maybe it won't be the one where he hammers it down and reestablishes the old Samford, but I think I have to defer to him at the very least. And I don't know what the scoreline will look like at all. I don't think anybody could guess that, or I mean, could predict that. But I'm gonna have to defer on his end.
We get our first brooms out tonight. I'm also taking Sam. And,
Ooh.
looking at the other games, there's a decent chance there are only brooms that we're bringing out. But yeah, I think this is Sanford's bounce back game. Like you guys said, both teams have had pretty similar seasons. But I think Sanford's going to bounce back here. They need a win. They want to stay alive. So does Alabama State. But I think with the expectations Sanford put on themselves last season, going to be a little more motivated, a little more prepared, I guess. So I got Sanford taking this game, so I could see it.
Next, we got a pretty highly touted matchup. Probably going to be a top 20 matchup. Well, actually, I'm not sure how far Campbell's going to fall after the loss to Yale, but definitely top 25 matchup, I believe, between Campbell and Chattanooga. Two teams coming off two different outcomes this past week. I'm really excited for this game. I have my division. The fate of my division lies with this week versus Matt, and then I play Chatty week after that. So I'm really excited to see how Chatty handles the game, starting with Campbell this week. Campbell's been a really successful offensive team, with the exception of one game versus Bethune-Cookman this year. I think we see that come to life this game. I know Chatty has some abilities, but I think Campbell's been very up and down so far this season, and I think the pendulum swings back up and kind of brings Chatty back to earth a little bit after his skyrocket start.
This game is really tough. I never know how to predict Campbell. I really don't know how, and I really got to tip my cap to Chattanooga this season. What a start it's been, and they're doing great things there. But you make a good point about Campbell's offense, and they had a thrilling game last season. I think Campbell's going to come out on top this time.
Yeah, Campbell. I love Chattanooga, and I've been Chattanoogan with him for this OTE briefly, but I think Campbell's gonna have his head in the game far more than anything. Like, this is a psychological game, and like I just think he's in it more than ever. Like, I've also been talking to Campbell a lot, and like I know he had to pull out from being the congressional Camel and stuff like that, and he's been playing his games while doing that, while having other responsibilities, and while the world's been super hectic. But being able to, like, he's stepped down from that role, but he hasn't stepped down for being as active. I think his head's going to be more in this game than he has been in all the other ones. And I think that's going to be a force. He's already 3-2. He's got a good strength of schedule, and of any team, if I could pick any team to hand a playoff spot to, even if it were my own, I think I would pick Campbell. So I also got that where I'm just always rooting for him. So picking Campbell, but I could see this going either way. Like, I definitely don't see it being a blowout, but got to go with my gut.
Hmm. 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 I think I'm gonna go with Chatty. I think I've picked against him a couple times this year, but 4-1, nothing to sneeze at. He's on a roll. I think he keeps it going, and it'll be a tough loss for Campbell, especially because I think he already has enough. It'll be 2 losses in conference already, so it'll be tough for him. But I think Chatty's, like I said, a little bit of a role be one of the challenges for And this season, especially if Jacksonville State loses. So I got Chatty here.
Next, we got two of the. I'm not going to use the term bottom dwellers, but I will say teams that are looking to prove something in the dusk. You have UNA and ETSU, both teams 0-2 in the division or the conference. Both teams relatively new coaches. UNA 1-4, ETSU 3-2. I think we haven't seen the best of Nutt yet this season. I think Wally has a lot of good things going for him. He's a bright future in this conference should he choose to stay. But I think that Nutt was my dark horse beginning of this year. We haven't seen him evolve into his final form yet, and I think he starts a bit of a tear. Right? Give me ETSU.
Yeah. So I think Nutt is vulnerable at ETSU. I think that game last week, didn't give him a lot of good practice, so he might be a little rusty. And Wally's got fake sports experience. I really think North Alabama is got a little bit more to prove, a little bit more to show us, and has taken hits this season, gone through the ringer. I'm gonna go with UNA.
Man, I think I know the least about these two teams and coaches and everything. So I know this is kind of the dumb, the chalky thing to do, but I see one team is 3-2 and the other team is 1-4. So I'm going to pick the team that has the higher number in the win column and say I'm going with Etsu. That's all the analysis I can offer there.
Sports analysis.
Sports. Team win or lose, or sometimes tie. Not this sport though.
Plenty of time. Yeah, this should be a good game. ETSU has really been helping the conference as a whole. If it's not helping them, they're 3-0 out of conference, 0-2 in. So helping the conference resume, not really their own. But I will pick Nutt. I think he gets his first win in conference this week. So it should be a decent game. I don't know how close it'll be, but yeah, I'm going with Nutt here. I see my game is next, so I'll give a little bit of preview to that. Last time me and Stetson went against each other, I was 6-3 and coming off of beating Pero, and then Stetson absolutely wrecked. So that was a fun game. But if we're going off this season has been a repeat of last season, so if we're going off that, I'm gonna win here. But I could definitely see this where the pattern ends and not in a good way for me. Should be a good game though.
Yeah, so man, this is tough. This is where the dawn really starts to show its bare its teeth and really start to separate teams. That being said, Stetson has been an awesome team this year. 3-point loss to a top 5 team. I'm not sure where judges on rankings this week. There's nothing to laugh at. I think it's going to be really close. Like I said, two very different very different styles of offense. I know. So you like to air it out a little bit. He's just grounded pound, run it down. I think it's going to be close. I think this game is going to be one turnover battle. Whoever has the most turnovers is going to be the loser in this game. I think Stetson wins. Like I said, off of a turnover in some form or fashion. I think it's close, but give me.
Yeah. I'll only say, did you see that game against Northern Colorado?
I did.
That is a machine that I caught at a good time in week 4, and I'm so glad I don't have to play them the rest of the season. I'm going to go with the Hatters.
All right. Well, I think I'm also going to go Hatters, but only because, and I know this because I was looking at it earlier, I know Stetson's also up there in the turnover margin department, and I kind of agree with the analysis that turnovers will be key in this because I just don't see anybody chipping away at slightly slowly defensively. I think you're gonna have to make a difference. And Stetson and I 5. Okay, they've got 5 turnover differential, which is good for tied for 11th overall, which is pretty good. It's up with the likes of okay, never mind. Those are not good. That's not good company. Well, Campbell, that's a good team. That's got 5 as well. No, yeah, I think it'll be a close one too. This one I'd have to peg at 3rd closest behind Mercer, Bethune, and then Jacksonville State, Alabama A&M. But yeah, I guess I'll go Stetson. Part of it is the argument that I made earlier, the hard-founded sports analysis. But I did also watch that game I peeked at that game versus Northern Colorado, but I don't know, man. Go either way. Stetson's the official pick, though.
And last but not least, we have our conference commissioner Judge taking on Purple. If you look at the paper in this game, 5-0 versus 1-4. You, as everybody on the conference knows, and probably around the league knows, Purple is better than your average 1-4 team. All of his games have been relatively close. That being said, Judge's offense has been special this year. I really think that he's going to make a run, not just in the regular season, but deep into the postseason as well. And it's just unfortunate that Purple is a great coach for a good program in a really tough division. The division never holds any punches. So this is one of those weeks where I think it'll be closer than the line the sports honor probably show. But Judge's offense is potent, to say the least.
Yeah, I won't pick, but I'll give a preview. I'm looking forward to this game. I'm really thankful for the people we have in the conference that make week in, week out games a lot of fun to play, and Purple's going to be a great opponent, and I really look forward to this. Just really proud of the conference we have and the people we have, the community.
Well, I think obviously not obviously, but my pick is Kennesaw State. I think you give me any line, any line that any reasonable person would look at and say, yeah, okay, that seems fair for those two teams. I'd take Jacksonville. I know that Perp is better than what the record shows, what his all-time record shows, what everything is. Straight up, the guy has not very many wins and a lot of losses, but not even close to the bottom of Coach Elo from before it was locked. But which was really surprising to me. I was like, he's not really won many games, but it shows in that metric where it's just like the margins are so small that it doesn't make much of a dent, and we know what he's capable of. So I'm going with Kennesaw. I have obviously, again, no reason to doubt their potent offense and their strong defense, and just seeing how they act. They what was the team that I didn't want to SIU? They SIU'd Austin P. Didn't want to accidentally win, didn't want to accidentally score too much, but ended up doing such. That's just brutal, and I don't see Jacksonville walking away cleanly. I mean, I don't give them 0% chance, or even relatively close to what my sports analysis would give them, given those numbers. But that's honest analysis.
Yeah, this one's an unfortunate sweep for Jacksonville State. Jacksonville. Yeah, it's they're a good coach. Might not. Good chance a sweep won't happen again this year. It might when they go against Bethune-Cookman, but but it's just they're going against a great team who's on a roll. Probably wrong time to go against Kennesaw right this second. Though, I think a good chance undefeated falls this week, so it could be Kennesaw State. I predicted it'd be Bethune-Cookman, but never know. But yeah, it should be a good game. A lot closer than the records make you think. Just unfortunate timing for Jackson.
All right, and that's our last game of the week. That's all that we really have. Danny, I want to thank you for taking the time to come on the show and flex some of your sports analysis and Big Sky opinions as well. It's much appreciated. Thanks for hanging out with us for a while.
Thank you for having me. This was great. It was a lot of fun.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Judge and Slow, for another great week. Another reminder of a week in the ASUN. And to all who are listening, thank you guys too. We will see you guys next week. Thanks.
See you guys.